Hello, hello. Hi guys, can you write somebody if you hear me properly and everything is okay? Okay, let's just wait for somebody. Cool. Thank you, Salka. Nice to see you here. Okay, guys. So welcome here. I'm very happy that you joined and that you want to take maybe some inspiration for your life or just listen to some nice ideas. Who doesn't know me? My name is Ondra or Ondřej, based on how well you can pronounce it. Or DJ KRON, somebody can know me like this. And I'm from Brno, from Czech Republic, which is my hometown and also my most favorite town in the whole world. And I'm dancer already in Zug already for 10 years, more than 10 years, definitely. So it became my love, my obsession, everything. I bet like many of you. And been lucky enough also to start teaching a few years back. Firstly in our dance studio in here in Stolarna. And then we had also some opportunities to teach abroad in Germany mainly. And also a few years back, I started DJing, yeah, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So I really feel like I have a whole package of Zouk and I'm really enjoying everything from this. And because of all of this and because of my very creative life, I had a need of creating some structure, of taking notes, of remembering what we learned, what we taught, and that made me to create better and better system in my life and to somehow enhance my possibilities and options and trying to develop myself. So that is the main reason why I'm doing this, because I love the community. I love what kind of people they are and that we can share and discuss so many things and get richer and richer with our topics. And I just want to give you some of my obsession and passion, which is organization skills, some structure, and maybe some inspiration that you can share or just use for your own life. Okay, so let's begin with this. Um, as I said already, uh, why I started to do this whole system is that I'm a very creative person and I have many things to do every day, something different. And very often I have some ideas in my head that they don't have yet the right time to do it, or I don't have the energy for it, or I just have an idea at 2 a.m. in the party. So of course I will not do it immediately. So I had a need of writing down my ideas in order to use them later in my life. And I started firstly with, um, yeah, like lots of people do, with just hand drawing and handwriting because I love handwriting. It has many advantages. It gives you the option to memorize better because when you write it down by hand, it's just much easier for your brain to remember. Also, I love that writing has freedom. You can do anything there. You can write anything. You can draw all the graphs, all the system that you want, and it will be always in my heart. Like writing by hand is always something that I love. But yeah, the problem is that it's just not very useful. Uh, it's after some time when you make several notebooks or tens of notebooks, like in my case, you just don't know where to find things. You just don't know if you want to teach where where to find nodes that are useful for you. And that's why I started to look on something different, yes, to update my system a little bit. So I started with the first one that was on the hand, which was Google Keep. And it's very similar to lots of the note-taking apps that you have on your phones. So the advantage is that it's synchronized through the devices. You can find it when you scroll. Also, you can simply tag the notes. Like it has some basic organization, let's say, and you can also share it with other people. So sharing information with my dance partner was easier. I could write down random thoughts from whatever time and come back to them and somehow organize them very simply. Mm, But again, after some time, after a few years of writing it down in Google Keep, it just kept it just was heavy, too big, and I kept scrolling to find something because I didn't know what name I put. I was tagging it, but then so many things got the same tag, like dance or something. Of course, I could refine it. I could create like a category of, you know, tags under this system. But it just felt like I'm very rarely coming back to this information, and when I do, I have troubles finding it, and also formatting is not possible in there. So that's what made me. That was again a few years when I tried to use it. And then I said, okay, let's go more organized, structured. And I started to create spreadsheets for every workshop, for every weekender or every classes that we had. Usually our classes takes 8 weeks. I created one spreadsheet with all the information that I could use. So since we are usually teaching or very often creativity and musicality with my dance partner, it was also very important for me to write down the songs that I will use, as what I will say to people, all the ideas and notes, and how is it divided into lessons. And this structure was quite satisfying, I have to say. And I could share it with my partner. Again, she could even write there. Um, and yeah, it for some time it was quite useful. And the advantage of Google Sheets is that you can format it in many useful ways. Uh, you can adjust it as you want, right? You can share it with other people. And mostly it really has everything that you need. So yeah, but again, after some time, I started to have like 20, 30 spreadsheets, each of them with different workshops or weekender or whatever I was teaching. And when you imagine that I have to create a new workshop and I have very bad memory, another reason of my system. And when I start to create a new workshop, I want to look at the past workshops that we taught and get some good exercises that I already created, so I don't have to create everything again. And in this case, with the spreadsheets, I would have to go through every spreadsheet and check, okay, we did this exercises. Is this good or not? Or do I want different one? And go through every spreadsheet available so I don't miss something that could be useful. Yeah, and that got just frustrating through time. So when I was creating something, wasn't tempted to go through it because it was just a lot of work and lots of time to spend on just browsing through something that I created. So I still have some of the spreadsheets. I use them, but I slowly transfer them to my new system, which I will present to you. Yeah. Of course, spreadsheets are also very cool, and you could refine them. You could use them differently than me, like use multiple tabs, for example, for every workshop, one tab, and then it's easier to go through it than opening each file separately. Yeah. So this is also a very nice system, and I was using it for at least 3 years, I would say, 2 or 3 years. So yeah, it's not bad, but compared to what I learned this past year, it doesn't have the necessary things for me. So this was just a quick browse through what I used and what made me to come up with a better system to search for better organization and for better structure. Yeah. And so in the beginning, you could ask yourself like, why should I make some system? Yes, because as a dancers, um, you are very often learning by just watching somebody. But you are coming to class on an event, you just attend the class and then you train it, and that's it. But I don't know if it's also your case, but usually when I'm on a class, there is 1 hour or 1 hour and a half, and it's not enough time for the teacher to teach you something really properly, to give you all the techniques, to give you all the comments, and mainly to give you personalized comments that you can adjust it for your body, because that's what is learning dancing mean for me mainly. Yes, so to learn something and to adjust it to my body so it feels comfortable. So for dancers, I would say that it's nice to have some overview of your progress, not only for uh, knowing what you should learn, but also to see in perspective what already you learned, like what big progress you made, because most of us are struggling with not enough self-confidence, not trusting that somebody could have a great dance with us. And just by seeing what we accomplished already, it could help us a lot. Um, and then, yeah, uh, as I said, not only what you know, but also what you want to know, to see uh, all the notes from the events and, oh, this was something that I wanted to learn. So I just revisited half a year ago or half a year after. When I'm on the classes, I usually take lots of notes and I don't filter them at all. I just write down everything that I find interesting, and then later on I review it, I summarize it, and just take what is interesting for me, what is important for me. And from these notes, I can uh, either learn something or just create my own opinion. Another good reasons is, uh, yeah, just you see some cool movement on a video or in real life, and you take a video. You can, and you don't have time to practice it right now. You just take a note. Okay, I want to learn this element. Either I will ask the person who did this video, or I will train it with my partner. I will try to get it from the video. So I see like many advantages for dancers just for have some kind of system, and not necessarily this kind of system, but some. And as I told you, this is like my main reason why to create some system was teaching, because there I have many more notes and many more ideas. With dancing, I'm already dancing for 10 years and more, so my dancing is my learning to dance is already a bit different, and I don't take so many notes. I usually just write down concepts that I want to work on, and then I see in 1 month or 2 months how much did I manage to embrace this concept with my body and my dancing. And for teachers, there are many, many advantages. Firstly, to not repeat yourself when you are coming somewhere. If you go to Germany to teach in 1 year and then you come back there 3 years later, probably some people will come for your class again because if they like you. So it would be nice to have something new for them to not repeat your class. And me personally, I will forget it after 2 months what exactly I learned, taught there. So this is very good for me. I was trying to ask some Brazilians if they have something, and for example, Nina from Mateus, she told me that she remembers everything, what they did in every country this year. And that's very cool for me. I really don't understand. Another reason is not only classes, but also individual lessons. I have often couples that take individual lessons on regular basis, so every week or every 2 weeks, and just writing down what I did with them. I can send them the notes. It's very helpful. Then a list of all the exercises uh, that I'm creating or that somebody else has created, and I can inspire by them. Go back to them, update them, uh, teach them somewhere else. This is just very important for me. As I said, inspiration from other teachers, whatever somebody is teaching, just trying to think about it. Is it useful for me? Do I find inspiration from it on my teaching? And if so, how would I translate it? Because Zug has so many approaches, so it's good to make your own to really trust it. Yes, that's what I was talking about, create my own concepts. So just listen to, just for example, I saw a discussion on Zug Nerds about Zug frame. Yes, just this simple thing can cause so many views that sometimes even feel opposite when you hear them. Just the technique of how to hold your frame. What is the frame? Yes. So if I listen to many teachers that I like to chat with them. I just write down, okay, what is their opinion? How do they explain it? And then try to compare it with my own understanding of Zook. Like, what is it? And how would I like, explain it? How would I mm, put, give it to people so they understand? So this is something that really works well for me. This whole system and this whole app is based on two main ideas. First is book How to Take Smart Notes, which is a very useful book and I recommend it. And this one is based on the system Zettelkasten, which is from Germany, from German word, and it was really a physical system of small paper notes where this person who created it, he just have a paper for every idea he had. This paper had a number tag, and he had a really like physical drawer full of papers where he could find everything. And the main point and main idea of this concept is that if something was connected to a different topic, he always wrote down the number of the connected topic. So if he's writing yes about something concrete and it's connected to a different topic, he just put a reference number and he could browse through them very quickly and organically. And that is why I don't remember the number exactly, but I think he wrote 10 books in 30 years, like really a lot, or maybe 30 book in 10 years. That would be more. I'm not sure, but really unusual number because he had a very good flow in his information process. So this is the base of the book, How to Take Smart Notes. And especially if you are working with texts and writings, I really recommend this book. And I would say based on the system and also a little bit with this book came a guy which is called Tiago Forte, and he created a book. He wrote a book and created a system called Building a Second Brain, where you can. The basic is basically the same. It's just about creating a connections between your nodes in order so it works like a brain. Because we don't learn in a hierarchical way, we learn in connections. So whatever idea brings you some association, that is how our brain works. Yes. So we find connections in the world, and this system should emphasize it. It should help you to somehow work organically in your own system. Yeah. So these both are in the description of the video, and I recommend looking at them, buying the book, and go through it if you are really interested. Before you start any system, what I will show you, it's very good to read at least one of these sources because it will give you some guidance on what is important and what is the philosophy behind this note taking because it's not just writing anything randomly, it has a kind of philosophy. So this was some bit theoretical beginning of some introduction of this system. Now a little bit specifically, so I was telling you about what tools I used for note taking. So just some review, yes. So first I was using pen and paper, which I told you is beautiful. I love it, but it's really not useful for any bigger system. You cannot find anything uh, after some time. Or any note-taking app like this Google Keep or anything on your mobile phone. Usually you can synchronize it through devices. Yes, it's fine. Some basic, and there is millions of them and for free. Or Google Sheets that is already more, I would say, big. So you can contain more data, format it, make it structurized, really neat. You can print it out very easily and take it on a go with you and write down something on hand for example. So these are the basic ones that I think everybody knows, and they work very simply and yeah, very user friendly. Then all of these other ones are already, I would say, from my point of view, like high level note taking apps, high level, because they have interconnected system of nodes of something that you can work with in order to reference one node to another or one page to another. The most, I would say, famous example is Notion and OneNote. Notion works like very simply, like let's say website that you are adjusting and on the go, and you can share it with other people. And yeah, it's very user friendly. We use it for work, and I would say it's for lots of people number one app to go if they want to have something with a bit smarter system. There is lots of templates that people created. For me, there is a disadvantage of limitations, like how much can you edit how the app looks, how much can you edit some custom properties. For example, you can just create free headings, which is not enough for me. Like if you want to really create lots of topics, so just three levels of headings. With the look, you don't have so many options how the app will look. So Notion is good, it's useful, but for me it didn't feel right. Then Evernote and OneNote I'm really not familiar with, but from what I read from reviews, they are also very cool. Especially OneNote is quite well widespread. The one app that was my choice was Obsidian, that you actually see right now. So all of this, this whole presentation and everything I will show you is already in the app called Obsidian, uh, which is amazing, and I will tell you a bit more about it, why I chose it. And then Cascade and Roam Research, another ones that are quite okay. I don't know so much about them. And Roam Research, I heard that they are slowly decaying, so the app is slowly dying. This is just a few of them, and if you want like some more extensive research, this guy that I was talking about, Tiago Forte, created a video called 6 to 8 apps to take digital notes, and he also created some system like what kind of personality are you with note taking, and based on this he will tell you some kind of apps of your choice. So he's very good, but there are many people doing video reviews of note taking apps. So yeah, or you can just write me for some recommendation. So why did I choose Obsidian specifically is because firstly, when I was talking about Notion, everything is online. I think there is some offline version where you can write it and then it will update. But this is different because Obsidian, in every node he creates, he creates together with it, or the node itself is a local file in your computer or phone or tablet or whatever. And this local file is yours. Like if Obsidian will stop working in few years, uh, you can put the files into a different program and it will read it because it's written in a programming language, Markdown, which is very used. So there is many apps that could read this. So this is one big example. Of course, like synchron, I wanted it to be synchronized through multiple devices. I'm using my computer, mobile phone, and laptop, and I'm writing down all of them. So it really had to be synchronized, which with Obsidian, it's possible either through uh, buying their subscription when it allows you to synchronize it with their cloud, or you can get the free version, which I did, which is the next step. Um, and you can just synchronize it with third-party services. So I use Google Drive. I have one app on my phone that is synchronizing only one specific folder in my phone with the Google Drive to other devices, and yeah, it works perfectly. So I have it for free, and I'm synchronizing it with Google Drive that I also have for free. Another big part is that Obsidian has a big community around it that creates a lot of plugins and lots of also um, skins that you can change the appearance of it. The plugins are very useful and they can help you a lot with how setting up what you want exactly. And also, like, it's highly customizable. Everything in here that you see, you can switch the order of these icons, of this, open the panels on the sides. Here you can put calendar. All of these nodes you can snap to grid somewhere here or here. And it's just, I love it how it works. Yes, it has a tabs, so it's very useful for working. And also the appearance, like there is millions of skins where you can find which one like the people created. So it's not from it's open source, so anybody can create it. And you can see that there is millions of appearances that you can choose from. So this is very pleasant also, that one app doesn't have to look always the same. And then one very cool thing with Obsidian is the variability in views. So for example, this is a simple node, where you can see that it's structured from top to bottom very easily. But what it has also is a view that is called outline, where you can see the headlines and you can click on them and it will take you there. So this is also very useful. Second thing, you can see backlinks. What is a backlink is that if I mention this node somewhere, it shows me here in which is it mentioned. So this is very cool because then you always know the whole system. But the best one, or the nicest one, let's say, is the graph view, where you can see visually even all the one circle is one node, and you can see which all of them are connected. Yes, and you can just by clicking on them, you can go to the next node and it will update. And the graph view, this is just a local graph view. You can have also this is a graph view of my whole vault, which is all my nodes in my Obsidian. This you can see on the graphics that I was presenting you. And all of this, every circle is one dot, and the connections are to different nodes. Yes, and you can. This is not just for looks. You can use it very nicely. For example, like where the path of the file is dense, so it's in a folder called dense. There you can see just all the files that are dense-wise, and you can see their connections. So in Zook classes level 2, there are this elements. I can see that there is some exercise and what elements I teach there and so on. So this is GraphView, which is just amazing, and I use it quite a lot. And the last one is they added it last month, and it's this canvas view where you can create mind maps or just some overview of anything, or as you can see, like some simple presentation. You can embed the websites that are still, like you can use them, which is very cool. And all the, of course, you can embed images. Yeah, very cool. So this is why Obsidian is my app of choice, and it's just, yeah, I just love it. So just before we go to my system, and I will show you more specifically. If anybody has some question, you can just write it in the chat, and I will take a look at it. But if nobody of you has any questions, I can just go further. Okay, so let's go. So what is exactly the system that I created in Obsidian? And it's actually again, it's okay. I see a question. Mesmes is asking, since when are you building this? So I discovered this last year in September, October maybe. And since then I started to discover it. So this is just not even half a year worth of work. And what I love about the system is that you don't have to have a clear idea in the beginning what you want to do. You can just start creating it and put it together and refine it again and again until it really fits you personally. This is what I did. I just started to create it, uh, started to create nodes, then a few folders. But the main structure of this is that it shouldn't have many folders, and that's the approach of Second Brain, that everything should be on the same level. And then I started to browse through the plugins and what can be useful for me until I found, yeah, what is very good for me. And I think it will still evolve, it will still change, but I already have the like basic understanding of what I want and what is good for me. Thank you for the question. So this is just a simple chart of how the system works. As you can see, when I open this tab, there is like normal explorer, let's say, of the nodes. You can use the folders, you can folder subfolders and everything. Yes, so this is very easy to control. All of this is like simple nodes. So every event has a single node, every element has a simple node, and every song has a simple node. This is usually what I use as a reference. So elements and songs, and especially songs, I use as a reference because I often use the same songs for my musicality class because some of them are good to explain something, some of them are very useful and have good structure, clear for explaining it. So then I can find everything that is where I use this song, which is very cool. Then I link these elements to either workshop or classes or exercises that I create in the songs, and exercises I put into classes and to workshops. So if I have some exercise and I want to change it because something doesn't work or something I want to have better, I will just edit this exercise and it will update in the classes and in the workshops. So I don't have to go to 3 places to update one thing because that is really exhausting to do it all the time. Uh, then the workshops and the exercises, I also sort in MOC, which is map of content. based on the metadata that are on the notes. It will make sense for you once you see it, but this is a very nice visualization of how it works. And then from the events, I take inspiration and I just either put it in the notes with some specific topics like Zook frame or social dancing, whatever is interesting for me, and I create my own summary. And also from some events where I find interesting exercise, I just write it down for some kind of inspiration in the future if I want to use it. So this is the overview of how it works in general. So then let's get more specific. So first, yeah, let's go to the dancer. So how I would use it as a dancer. This is just some preview of the system because, as I told you, I mainly started the system because of my teaching, and dancing is, let's say, like a secondary for uh, learning to dance and improve. Now I just want to work on my teaching mainly and DJing. So I just try to set up some examples of how I could use it. So firstly, improving my technique. Here you can see that there is some kind of note which is called my dance, and I just write down things to improve. I will open it in so you can see that it can be very cool. So this is the note. I just write down things that I want to improve. I can write down the uh, date where I got this feedback, and then I can revisit it in 1 month to see, okay, did I really change it? Did I work on it? Did I forget about it? How does my body feel about it right now? So for example, this is some technique from Ludwig. I can see this reference on a class. When I go to this note, you can see that after the class, I wrote down everything that I remembered from the class. And I just wrote a summary of, okay, what is important for me? How do I want to improve? And wrote it here. Uh, there can be many things from many perspectives, and you can even create like a checkboxes. Okay, this is already something that I feel like I implemented in my dance, and so on. It just matters on you how much you want to write. Then here I have like example of elements I want to learn. Lately, I'm obsessed by Iago and Vanessa, so I watch lots of their videos. So here, for example, I have just some of their video on Facebook that I'm sure that I wouldn't find later because on Facebook everything gets lost after several days. So I got the link, I got the time of the element that I find cool or I want to learn, and then I either open it on my training with my partner and we just look at it and see, okay, how it could be done. Or if it's uh, too hard, I could just take a individual lesson with them and ask them to teach me because I know exactly what I like from them or my friend Melissa. So this is like the first two uses. So either improving my technique or learning new elements. And then also you can write down notes from individual lessons. So if you ever take individual lesson with any good teacher, of course with good teacher, with whom else you would take individual lesson, then it's very nice. And what I'm also doing is just taking few minutes in the end of the lesson. Even if it finishes, I'm sure that the teachers will give you 2 or 3 more minutes and just talk with him. Okay, this is what I feel I should take from this lesson. And you are writing it down, and in the same time you are telling it to him. So I should work on my balance, I should work on my turns, and you said that I'm doing this and this, which I didn't know before, and you write it down, get the immediate feedback if you remember it correctly or not, and then you can revisit it later with very clear information of what to improve. So this is what I find very useful because, yeah, I just find that somebody tells me, okay, this is what you are doing, not yet correctly or not yet good. And this is, for example, my body is very often like this. Yeah, it's crooked. This is something that I forget about after several weeks, and I get to the comfort again. So it's nice to have some reminder. And then another point of view, which is very nice, and I think many more dancers are coming to just think about it in a different way, because Zouk is not only about dancing, it's about connection, how you take it to connecting with people, your personality, how it influences your dance. You all know that it's just a lot and lot of things that are trans transferring into the dance. So creating your own dance philosophy, what is important for you, how do you see the dance, is yeah, just very useful. And then talking about it with other people from different countries becomes very interesting because you come to realization that everybody has a different point of view. And even if you talk about the same concept and you have the same conclusion, it can go different ways, completely different ways, which is very beautiful. And I love this about Zouk. So this is the overview of how I would use it as a dancer, which is not so comprehensive because I don't use it as much as I said. But now let's go to the teacher part. So let's say firstly, take an example of I want to create a new workshop. Before in the spreadsheets, I would have to go through every spreadsheet, write down the exercises that I did and just put them together on some new spreadsheet. Yeah. So first when I create a new workshop, I will just create a new node. Okay. So let's say this is a node for new workshop. Then I go through my exercises, and this is where it becomes interesting and where it's so different because I will show you my MOC of exercises, which is map of content, as I told you. And this, like every green text, is a simple exercise, and it's sorted into topics, my kind of topics. So yeah, creativity, musicality, uh, and it's also sorted based on the teacher. So if it's my exercises or if it's from other teacher. It also it it has every exercise as a tag, which is shown here, and I can see from first glance what is it about. If it's just about creativity or also about self-expression. If there is some technique, of course, in musicality there is also a lot of technique, but I mean, what is the main topic? Yes, and this is very useful for me because uh, how how Obsidian does this is with a plugin called DataView, which creates just a simple code, or you create it, and this code will look on the metadata of the nodes, and based on the specification that you give it. So here, for example, is that the type has to equal dance, and it has to contain specification exercise, and the teacher has to be me. Yes, and the tag has to be creativity. So if all is true, then it filters here. Just to show you what is the how does the metadata look. So here you see just written down the exercise, the song that I used, and here on the bottom is just a simple text with double dash, and that's the metadata. Yes, it's very simple, very basic. No programming. Let's say maybe this data view is a little bit programming, but there's lots of instructions for it. And you can create whichever metadata you want. So if you want also like a date of the exercise or uh, let's say some difficulty, It can be here and it can be shown in this. Yes. So this is the main overview of the exercises. Also, when I go here, I can just hover over the exercise and it will show me the preview. And if I go on the preview, I can just scroll through very easily and just glance of, okay, what is this exercise about? And then go, okay, so this is a different exercise. Very cool. And another exercise. This takes me few minutes of just a basic overview. It's really perfect. And then when I find some exercise that I like, for example, let's say this discovering comfort in my body, I just put it in here like a link. So I write the syntax that I already know, yes, exercise, or I can just write discovering and it will give me the some examples of where is discovering. And I just link it here. Then I can open the same node from this workshop. So cool. I just go through it and then I see, okay, this exercise from William is also very cool because William has cool exercises. Then I don't go and put it here. Then I have a list of exercises that I could do on this workshop. And I give it some order or I decide which one I want to use and which one not, and so on. So this made my system and my way of creating workshops really much better and faster. And also I can very easily write down the exercises from other teachers, which is very cool. So this is a first step, yes. So looking at the exercises and seeing what I want to use. Then I can also check all the workshops. Also, each one of them is a simple note. And it has some kind of metadata. Yes. So if I go to Berlin Musicality Workshop, where we taught, again, in the bottom, I can find the metadata. In the events, I set up different ones. So I even know when it started, when it finished, who I taught with, and how much also we charged, for example. So I can go through also the workshops and take some inspiration of, okay, how did we put an order? What was working, what not? If I have some kind of notes of, okay, we did this, but they didn't react so well, or it was too hard for them, then I see, okay, was it working? Was it not working? And if so, how do I want to make it different? So that's a second step, as let's say, taking inspiration from the events, either from my own workshops that we created, or I can also go to some classes if I want to teach something about head movements. Louis and Larissa had an amazing YouTube masterclass where I put down lots of notes and didn't sort them out yet, so they are very, like quite chaotic, but still usable. Yes. Then I just go through it. Here I took some screenshots of the video just so I understand the concept that he was explaining. Yes. Yeah, here with the hand and with the technique of the tilted turns. So all of this you can write down and you know that later on you will find it because when you put good metadata, it will always come into the right place. So if I like something about this, I will just say, okay, check the Louis and Larissa head movement class, master class for head movement tips. Yes. And then when I create it, I just check it and see, okay, what can I use for this from this? So in this way, I just put down together some very rough content that I can uh, that I can master, yes, that I can polish. I can create the order. I can put all the information that I need, all the songs that I need. But I have already some basics. I don't have to think everything from scratch. So this is what I showed you, creating a new node with valuable info. Yes. Then, for example, okay, for this, on this I will talk with the classes for the elements. But in this way, I can really create like a draft very quickly, and yes, it's done. And I don't have to waste my time with searching a lot, with finding what is where and so on. So yeah, this is really a life changer for me. It took some time, of course, to wrote it down, to put everything that I had in my spreadsheets in this shape and form. But I know that in here I will change it very little, and this is already a system that I want to stick with. This is something that I know that I will not change anymore, and I will stick with Obsidian because it really satisfies all my needs in note taking. Now I would like to also talk about the options that we have here. You can see on this test workshop that this is nice. Like you link to to exercise. You can see it in the preview as if you turn on the reading mode. This is edit mode. But still, it's just a list of things and you cannot see anything. Where you can see this green line, it means that it's a uh, linked node, but with a preview, which you can do very easily by just putting exclamation point before the syntax. Yes. So if I put exclamation point here, you can see the whole node of the exercise. So you don't have to go to a different file, to different tab. You just browse through very quickly. But another point is that it can be defined even more. You can link not only the whole node, but you can link only a specific heading. Like in here, for example, this is the exercise exploring and expressing contrast in music. And I don't want this reference headline to be on my node because it's just distracting and it doesn't have to do anything with the exercise. So I can link it with first putting the name, then hashtag, and then the heading. Yes. So you can see that I just wrote the heading the same as the name of the file because then it appears in the preview. And if I link it without the heading, exploring and contrasting music, it would show the whole node even with the reference, which I don't want. So this is very perfect. And when I talk about classes, you will see another use of it. So if I use this exercise on 5 workshops, and then I see, okay, this wasn't working, I can write some adjustments only in this node, and then it will change everywhere else. It's just interconnected system, which works very well. So this was all the basic information about how I built my workshops and new content, yes, with what to teach. Then we are also teaching classes, regular classes in our dance studio. As I told you, our classes have usually 8 weeks and every week is one class, 75 minutes. So it's divided by levels. So there is a Zouk level 1, Zouk level 2 after 8 weeks every time. We have some, let's say, basic guidelines of what we teach in the dance school for Zouk level 1, for Zouk level 2, but still each of us are teaching a bit differently, a bit different elements. In the beginning, usually the same, but then we are changing a little bit. But the basic idea is that we want students to be able to dance with each other already from the beginning. So that's why we give them some kind of, that's why we have, like teachers, some kind of structure and a bit of what we should teach and not. Yes, so some guidance. So if I check the node, so class is level 1, yes, you can see that here I have just very roughly written down all the elements that we want that we are teaching on level 1 or that are good for this kind of level. If I have a sequence, you can see that most of, some of it is in English, some of it in Czech. I'm still a bit confused with this. If I have some kind of sequence, I just write it down. And why every element is a simple single note. Where you can see it here, like I have all the elements that we taught for now in a folder, and each element is a simple note. What is the two main reasons is that firstly, like if I teach Viragina, under Viragina, I have all the variants of Viragina. Yes, so over-rotated hip bump and so on. I will not teach over-rotated Viragina to beginners because it's just very hard. Yes, so in Zouk level 1, I will just find Viragina. I will only put the Viragina basic here. Yes, and uh, that is linking only the heading of the Viragina basic, which is what I want. And here I can have whatever nodes I need. Usually I don't look at it already so much before the class because we are teaching already several years, so I know roughly what we want to teach. And then this is also not how we should teach it in the sequence, yes, in the order. I tried it in the beginning, but then we realized every group is different, everyone is different with the speed and with what they need. So this is just like a guide for me of, okay, what they should know after finishing first courses, first level. And then I just change it up how we feel with my partner on what we want to teach. Also sometimes like in lateral, I have here, okay, what to explain them with holding the hands, with the posture, with the frame, okay, and what not to do. And then also because of the system, as I showed you before, it's very easy to find. If I open the local graph view, it's very easy to find, okay, where was I teaching Viragina? This is a very simple example, but um, if you have some more experience element, you can also link it to cities, yes, and see, okay, did I teach it already in Germany? Did I teach it in Poland or not? And see, yes. So this is very cool, actually. So that's why I have uh, I have note for every element. Okay, then also there is the advantage when every element is a single node that you can have again a database of the elements. So in here I can quickly see all of them, and I think I already also did database like this when I try to get some kind of overview of, okay, how do we say it in Portuguese, how do we say it in English, and it's still work in progress, yes. So we will see. But I find it nice to know also the Portuguese terms. So then I also know like all the elements, I can add new ones and so on. And then very important thing for me, because every time in the end of the class of the level 1, so not the class, the courses, we are doing some repeating of everything that we did. Either we put it in sequence or we just go through everything. So in the end of the note, I just put all the elements that we learned with this with the students in 2021, and then I can go through it and say to myself, okay, what is the best sequence? How do I put it together so it fits well together and it's understandable for them? And as you can see, we already had two beginner courses since I had this system. So this is what we taught them in 21. This is what we taught them in 22. And it's a bit different. Like this second courses were a bit slower, so we didn't teach so much. Yeah, so this is also why it's important for me, because I cannot have uh, one system for every class because every course is different. Then when we start Zook level 2, I will just put here the link of the previous level, and depending on what is the year and what is current year, I will just link here, okay, what did we do in level 1? What should we repeat in the beginning, and what should they already know? So in this way, I can again print this out if I want. You can export it in PDF and just create a checklist of, okay, let's go through everything now. Just show me what you know or not don't know. And this level 2 has, again, the same system. Sometimes there is a concept, so it's not only elements, it can be also cross embrace. How do you teach it to beginners? How do you teach just the transferring weight? Uh, how do you teach body shapes and so on? And always when I see that something is working well, some kind of explanation or just imaginary, so some comparison, I just write it down and I know, okay, I could use this one later on. And then again, in the end, there's some kind of sequence where we repeat everything, we put it together. With the sequence, they also learn how to remember things better. And then in the end, what we taught. And this one, you see that it's just, we teach it now, so every week. So every week after class, I spend 20 seconds. I just open my app on my mobile. I put down, okay, what we were teaching today, and that's it. That's all my time that I put into it today to my teaching of classes and to note taking. Either if I have a new concept, new idea, if something works or not, I note it down. Then I wrote down the things that we did, which takes a few seconds. And then if we want to decide on the training with my partner, okay, what we're gonna teach today, what did we did last time? Okay, let's see, and then assess if we will do something different, if we will make some shaping or just some concept. So we always have the overview. Yeah, so this is how I create my classes, and it's a very it's still work in progress because, as I told you in the beginning, I had like Zoo classes level 1, and then I had lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, what we want to teach. And then I went step by step. And on the first classes that we taught, it was exactly like this. And it was working well, and I was adjusting based on what we did or what we didn't do. But then we started the second course, and then I was like, how will I do it now? If there is some changes, like what will I note down so it's not chaotic? So I deleted all the headlines of lessons, and now I take it just really like a guide. Yeah, so this is what we want to learn. This is what are good elements for beginners. Maybe it would be even good to have some database of, okay, let's set some difficulty levels 1 to 5, and if it has difficulty uh, 1, it can be in beginners. If it has difficulty 5, it can be advanced. Yes. So this could be also another um, use. Yeah, and then the last use that I use for teaching is when I teach privates. Either it can happen that some person comes to you and then he takes private. yeah, he's excited and everything is good. And then he tries to, implement it. He has some time, or he doesn't want to pay for another private so soon. And then you see him half an year after. Then I would forget what we did last time, which is not a problem because you can see like what this person needs, of course, when you teach him. But if I told him something that he should work on, I want to see if he made some improvement, so I can also comment on it, so I can give him uh, also feedback, but also some compliments. Like I see that you were working on your steps, on your transferring weight or whatever. Yes, and so this is one thing that can happen, that you teach somebody and it's after a long time and you just want to know what you did with him. Or if he tells you in the end of the class, oh, hey, next time we take a class, I want you to teach me this or this, and or I saw a cool element. Yes, so teach me this. So then I just take a note and I say, okay, you wanted this, so I prepared. Then a few couples I'm teaching every week or every 2 weeks on privates, and that's why that's when I really take notes after every lesson. I send it to them. It can be very basic, like just two lines. Or if it's a bit more apprehensive, and if we talk about some technique, I will write down a bit more, because then I send it to them as a reference. Yes, I send it to them as some kind of feedback, which they can look onto and they can train. This is another extra value that you can give as a teacher, and especially in Czech Republic, it's very appreciated because we work much more structured and we need some information and something to grab on. Because if we just say, like relax your bodies, this doesn't work. It's just yeah, doesn't work. We need to work a little bit first with our brain to understand something, then we can relax into our body. So I just write down every time that we have individual lesson, yes, and then I use these notes for myself and for them. And after before the next lesson, I just take a quick look. Okay, we did this. I tell them in the beginning, uh, we did this the last time, and that's it. So yeah. So guys, this is probably the end of the content being that I prepared. I didn't know how long it takes, so that's why I set up like 1 hour and a half, because I was not sure how many people will show up and so on. So if you have any more questions, just write them down in the on the YouTube live chat. I will answer them. And after this event will finish, there will be automatic email that I prepared for you. It will send you also the link if you want to watch it again. All the resources that I mentioned, and also a very small questionnaire that you can fill in, because I'm thinking if this content is interesting for enough people to create some kind of classes, let's say online course, where I could also tell you how to set up all Obsidian, what plugin to choose, how to set up the data view, or just also to mentor you or guide you a little bit, because there is a lot. If you go into the system, it can overwhelm you. There is so many options that you can do and so many approaches that you can choose, that it takes some time to find yours and to really be sure with the system that you choose and that it's good for you. So I would like to know if yeah, if it would be useful for you. Um, okay, so Mesmes is asking if I can share this with my partner, and if the whole system or the parts only. This is something that I'm sure it's possible if you have access to the same account. So that's one thing. You can have, if I think about it, no, it's even better because Obsidian has like let's say you have operating system. Yes, you can open Windows one computer and laptop second computer. So they have a system called vaults. You can create several vaults, one for dancing, one for art, one for normal thoughts. And you can share only the one of them with your partner, either through the Google Drive or with your third-party service with their official paid subscription. Uh, and then you can share only the, let's say, dance ideas. I'm not sure how it would be with sharing only one node. They have a tool that is called Obsidian Publish, where you can put it on like simple website. It's also paid, I think. So that's one option. You can share it to somebody without the option to edit it. This one I didn't explore yet so much, so I cannot answer properly. Uh, Salka is excited, so I'm very happy that you are excited. I'm also very excited, and this system really changed my life. And I have to say that it relaxed me a lot because every time I'm reading an article, I'm hearing a podcast, I'm on the event where somebody's teaching, I know that I can just write down everything. I can come to it later, and then I can find it anytime. This is just so refreshing and so relaxing. It's really Obsidian is perfect in this. And if I do this, all of this with free version, yes, Salka, this is everything. What I showed you is free version. All of the plugins, everything, the canvas, they already published to public. So uh, all of this you can do with the free version. And since I chose synchronizing it with Google Drive, I don't have to use their paid synchronizing version. So yeah, this is also very amazing. And thank you, Nina, for saying yes, it's very life changing. I uh, I guarantee if you start using this and you really get used to using it for all your notes, it is always your app of choice where you go to when you have some idea, then you will always find everything. It is just perfect. Just to show you, I will go back again. So here you have also like the search button where I find Vera Gina. Yes, it searches not only for the titles, but also for any text inside of the notes. So yeah, this is like you cannot lost anything, any idea. If you were the one who wrote it, you will put the name that is rememberable or that is you would write it yourself. So it's perfect. Yeah. So you'll never lost anything. Okay, so thank you for joining this stream. Uh, it's quite new for me to create some content like this, but I enjoy sharing some inspiration. And if anybody wants to chat about it or have some questions afterwards, just find me on Facebook or whenever else, and we can have a discussion. I'm always up to discussing some organization systems, procedures, and so on. Okay, see you guys maybe some next time. And thank you for joining once more. Bye.